Greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is the 8th of September 2024, and it's about 9:45 in the evening here in South Africa. In this video, I want to just get into Stellarium and just have a look at some of the facilities that we have available to identify on what date the solstices occur in a particular year, and the equinoxes, etc., and in what constellations they occur. And we'll also just have a look into how the seasons have been affected, how the seasons have changed from Noah's day to our day, and how they've shifted through the year. So we're just going to have a look at what are the mechanisms in the sun, moon, and stars that actually cause that shift. Going to get into a little bit of what Enoch describes in terms of the movement of the sun. In the next video, I'll have a look at the Enoch's description of the movement of the moon in relation to the sun, and then we'll get into the calendars on what I believe might be the true beginning of the year. Okay, so I might touch into some of those things as we go along, even in this video. Just keep it as simple as possible, and just go through a couple of interesting points with regards to Stellarium. All right, the first thing that we want to do when we use Stellarium is I always say get rid of the mask. Stellarium, they won't tell you this in upfront, but if you go look through the user manual, you'll find that that Stellarium is based on a geocentric model. In other words, it's based on the understanding that the Earth is standing still, and they calculate the positions of the sun, moon, and the stars from a geo perspective. You know, it's from as it is as we view it from the Earth. Okay, so they will tell you that they do this simply because it's perspective. Okay, we get to see the movements of the sun, moon, and stars as we would in relation to our position on the Earth. Okay, the reality of it is, of course, that is how it actually is. We live in a geocentric system. In other words, the Earth is standing still, the sun, moon, and stars are moving around the Earth. But they won't tell you that. They will just tell you that their calculations are based on a geocentric model, but that we actually live in a heliocentric model. If you believe that we live in a heliocentric model, that's fine. You can still benefit from this. Just think of it in terms of way they're telling you to think of it, that it's actually like that, but for the purposes of calculation, we're looking at it from a perspective of, we're looking at it relative to our position on Earth. Okay, so that's fine. So the first thing you want to do is they provide you with artificial horizons and all sorts of fancy footwork in terms of atmosphere, and providing some idea. They try to simulate sunrise and sunset effects with regards to the atmosphere. I think those are just really gimmicks. I'd normally just get rid of them. So the first thing I get rid of is the terrain and the atmosphere. The next thing I do is to get to, so that we can orientate ourselves a little bit better, is I switch on the equatorial grid. Okay, that'll come in these blue lines. And then in the settings over here, I think it's over here, you can get to, I think it's under markings. I switch on the equatorial, the equator of date, the ecliptic, and then the horizon, the green line. And you can change these colors of these lines. I've just left them as they were in the defaults. In fact, I might have changed them a little bit to make them a little bit more clear. I think the red original in the defaults is a bit faint. Okay, so those are the only things that I will have a look at. I do switch on the cardinal points. That's your north, south, east, and west, and I keep it to just the basic ones. You can have more, a whole lot of. You can have 8 or 16 or 32 cardinal points, but the north, south, east, west is sufficient. And then there's a couple of settings that you can play around in the background to, in terms of how bright you want the constellation artwork. You can switch that on and off. I find it easier with it on, or you can, if you don't like the artwork, of course you can use the lines. But, you do get used to it after a while. You get to recognize the shapes, and maybe it's a little bit less cluttered, but I find that most people relate to the artwork. And bear in mind that the artwork is really just there to help you identify the constellations a lot easier. Okay. Then the next thing I do is I click on the North Star and center and use the centering function just to bring that center. Okay, so what we're looking at now is this is how we would see the sun, moon, and stars if we were lying on our back on the Earth, looking up, and we would see everything above the green line. Okay, everything below the green line is not visible to us when we normally. So it's visible here on Stellarium, but it's not. It would not be visible to us if we were lying on our back. Everything, we would only be able to see the parts that are within this green circle, and you can make that circle flat if you want to. That would be artificial horizon, below the horizon, above the horizon. I've got pretty used to just using it like this, as if so you've got it actually depicts the whole flat Earth situation in reality. So that's what they put a mask to it, and they try to hide the fact that they're actually it's modeled perfectly around a flat Earth model, and you've got the sun and the moon and the moving stars, or some people call them planets. They move on this on the ecliptic, the red circle. Okay, so they sun, moon, and stars are moving on the red circle, and then the blue circle, yeah, the darker, or the brighter one, that would be the equator. Okay, and then these lighter blue lines would be different degrees moving towards the northern hemisphere, or north, and then of course out to the south. So as the sun moves on this ecliptic, it actually moves when it's in its most northerly position. It would be on the ecliptic over here, closest to the center, and when it's in its southernmost position, the solstice, winter solstice for the northern hemisphere, summer solstice for the southern hemisphere, the sun would be down over here, furthest away from the central point. And then the two equinoxes, the point at which it's equal, where it crosses over the equator, equal day and equal night, is the point at where the two lines, the red line and the blue line, cross each other. So we've got two equinoxes. One would occur here, so this would be from a northern hemisphere perspective, this would be the spring equinox, and this would be the fall or the autumn equinox from a northern perspective. Of course, for the southern hemisphere, it would be different. That would be the opposite. But we'll talk everything in relation to the northern hemisphere. You can also pick your geographic position. I've just picked approximately Jerusalem. You can pick anywhere you want to. Yeah, so that's just basically the layout. So what I've done here now is I've set it for what I believe to be the beginning of the year, of the biblical year this year, the true biblical year. The Jews are of the view that this year started on the 9th of April. So that's let's just set. I like to keep the sun just at about. So the sun would have set. This is sunset. So as the sun sets, these stars would start to be visible. Okay, if you switch on the atmospheric, you get a feel for that. So as you move the sun into sunset, so the stars. So that's just a simulation, of course. Okay. All right, but it just makes sense from an orientation point of view. I try to just keep the sun close to around about sunset. So this would be the new moon. The other thing I've done is I've scaled up the moon and the sun. So there is a facility in the settings. Yeah. So you can scale the moon and the sun, and I've scaled them up to 10 each. Just makes it a bit easier. Makes it easier to find, and also the moon set to a scale of 10 times 10. You can actually see the phases of the moon. So this would be dark moon when the moon is close to the sun. And as we move it forward day by day, you see there the moon starts to light up. And with having the moon to a nice big scale, you get to see it. That would be the first quarter, and full moon, third quarter, and then back to new moon again. So we've just gone a full month from the beginning from the beginning of the month when it was in April 9th. That would have been a beginning of the month. I did believe that this was the beginning of the year for this biblical year, but it would seem that it actually should have been 9 May, with the sun and the moon starting in Taurus, and Speaker as the sun is in sunset. Speaker or Virgo is fairly high in the sky, would be visible to the naked eye just after sunset. So this, I believe, is the picture that we need to be looking for the beginning of a year. Now we'll see that the Jewish calendar wants to start the year when the sun is closer to the equinox. So they would start the year usually somewhere here in March. If we move this back, you'll see when the sun is close to the equinox, we're in March, and they would have started. They sometimes would look for a start in a year close to this sort of date. Okay, but because they added an extra 13th month in last year, this year it actually started a month later on their calendar, on the 9th of April. So on the dark moon, and then that would be new moon day, and this would be the first day of the week. That first sliver just appearing there would announce the first day of the first week. But we see that in this instance, the sun is still very much in Pisces, going into Aries. And it would seem that we're supposed to be looking for a start of the year when the sun is in Taurus. So just to bring it back again, it looks like this is actually the true beginning of the year, which puts us currently at the beginning of the 5th month. So if we just go forward to where we are now, if we just go let's just go. So if we go forward, so that would be month 1 is complete, month 2 is now complete, we're in the 3rd month, month 3 is complete, we're in the 4th month, the 4th month is complete, we're in the 5th month, and we're currently, this is where we are today. So the sun, just bring it back to just after sunset. So the sun currently is in the constellation Leo, just exiting Leo and about to start entering into Virgo. So that's where we are at the moment. We're coming close to the equinox. There's the equinox. So you'll see as we approach that, we know that the equinox currently in our time occurs on the 22nd. So there we put on 22nd of September. The sun is at the equinox. And in this instance, the moon will be heading towards its final, it'll be at 3/4. Okay, it'll be after full moon, heading towards the final week of the month. This would be the final week of the month by the time that the sun gets to the equinox. So the problem that we're having to deal with is that in Noah's day, the equinoxes were in a different place, and it's the equinoxes, or the shift, where the equinoxes and the solstices occur in the year, cause the seasons to shift. So here we're looking at a fall. This would be the fall equinox, and but this is shifted probably about 2 months from Moses' time. So I just want to go and simulate that. We remember, we're always looking for the crossover, where the red line crosses the blue line for the equinoxes. Now, what has actually happened in this in the change in seasons is not so much a change in the speed of the luminaries. So the speed of the sun, which is still the same as what it was in Enoch's day, and the moon also. But what has happened is this ecliptic, this circle, you see it's off center from the equator, and it is moving around. It's kind of like a hula hoop. If you imagine somebody who's got a hula hoop around their waist, and that hula hoop, as you swing it around your waist, the contact point on your body moves around your whole body. Okay? The hoop stays out, but the contact point would be at your back, and as it goes around, it comes on your stomach, and the hoop is towards your back, and so the contact point goes around your body, but the hoop maintains its shape. So the ecliptic is the hula hoop part, and what's happening is the contact point is this point here, where the sun is at its most northerly position. So that's actually going around in a circle. Okay, so this whole loop is shifting around, and it shifts by about a month every 2,000 years, or it shifts 30 degrees. Each one of these blocks is 15 degrees. So from that line to that line is 15 degrees, and 2 of them is 30 degrees, and 30 degrees is approximately a month. So in 2,000 years, that crossover point shifts. So I just want to show you how that, you need to just orientate. Okay, I'm going to try and keep so that you got orientation. I'm going to go to Noah's day. It would be best to maintain that we maintain an orientation. I'm going to take us back to the beginning of the year, and we'll always work on in each year that we look at. So we're looking at, for this year, the beginning of the year to be 9 May, just near the sun, just after sunset. Okay, so this would be day 1. And so we orientate us. We've got the sun in Taurus. We've got Virgo fairly high on the eastern horizon, clearly visible. Speaker would be clearly visible by this stage. And we've got the equinoxes We see how the equinox here is occurring in Pisces. This is the spring equinox, and the autumn equinox or the fall equinox is happening here at the head of Virgo. So now I'm going to go to the year of the flood, which would be minus 2387. That would be minus 2387 BC. So that would be 1656 years from Adam. But in terms of a BC date, that Gregorian date, it would be 2387 BC. So now I want to just bring us to the beginning of the year. Would be when the sun is in Taurus. There's the sun is in Taurus, and let's just shift. Let's get the moon. Bring the moon in the picture. So there's new moon. So that would be the first day, and then let's do a final adjustment just after sunset. Okay. So we've got from where we were, now we've got the beginning of the year. Now this in a Gregorian date, it would have been around 15 April. Sun is in Taurus, moon is just past the sun, so the first day, just the slivers just starting to appear. And you see where the equinox is here. You see the equinox, the crossover point. You'll remember when it was in 2024, the crossover point, the equinox was here in Pisces, and the full equinox was here at the head of Virgo. But now, at the time of the flood, the equinox is in Taurus, so this would be the spring equinox, and the fall equinox is here in the scales, Libra. So you can see that it's shifted by 50, that's 30, 60 degrees, okay? So that's equal to 2 months shift. So where it is there, that's 1 month, 2 months. Remember, it was over here on this line here. So that would be 1 month, 2 months. Okay. 60-degree shift from the time of the flood to where we are now. And look at where the hoop is. So you can see the closest point. You'll recall the hoop is now shifted, where it was the closest point over here and the furthest point over there. The hoop is swung around. Imagine a person standing here, and now the hoop where it's touching the body here is now touching the body there. So this is now the summer solstice point, and here's the winter solstice point. So you can see it's shifted by that same 60 degrees. But it's got nothing to do with the speed of the sun. It's the rotation of this equinox. Okay, equinox has swung around from where it was. It's moved around like a hula hoop. Okay, and it would actually continue doing this, and it would go right round back to where it would do a full circle, like a hula hoop can go full circle back to the original point. So if it starts on your hip, you can go all the way around and end up back on the same hip. And in this case, the equinox takes 26,000 years. 26,000 years to do a complete loop around. So if you divide that by 12, that's where you get the 2,160 years to do to get a month's change. Okay, so for a change in 1 month, it would take about 2,160 years for it to move by that 30 degrees. So yeah. So that just gives you a perspective of what the picture looked like. And I believe that this now, you see, we've got to match this picture for the beginning of the year in our time, also disregarding the fact that the seasons have shifted by 2 months, by this 60 degrees, that the equinoxes have shifted. We need to, I believe, maintain this picture for the start of the year. So when you go to the book of Enoch and you read the description of the movement of the sun, I think it's in chapter 72 of Enoch. I've done a video on this in great detail where I go through the actual text of Enoch. It's available on my channel. I'm not going to go through that text. I'm just going to paraphrase because I know the description. But what Enoch says is he starts off. He says that the sun starts in gate 4, and we need to understand where those gates were. Some translations talk about portals. So it moves from gate 4, and then it goes into. It takes 30 days, and it enters into gate 5. And then it takes 30 days and enters into gate 6, and then it's 31 days in gate 6, and then it moves back into gate 5, and then it's 30 days in gate 5, and it moves into gate 4 again, and at the end of 30 days it crosses over into gate 3, 30 days later into gate 2, and 30 days later into gate 1. Spends 31 days in gate 1, it comes back again all the way to gate 2, and then gate 3, and back to gate 4. So what are those gates? Some have considered them to be the constellations, and that's not possible, because when the sun goes through the constellations, it goes through them sequentially, and it doesn't go back through a constellation. So in this case, where it goes 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, that's impossible that those can be constellations. So what they are, in fact, is these rings, these lines of latitude, so that as the sun moves, it's moving through the rings. Okay, so if we in this time, if we start moving this forward a day at a time. Now you just remember, each day that I move, okay, if I move it in terms of minutes, it's going to take a very long time. We can move in terms of hours, and just going to move it a full day. Okay, so you'll see the sun is actually, it's very difficult to see it, but it's actually moved a little bit. If we move it a day at a time, if I move it one day, what's actually done here, it's gone right round and back to the same position again. Okay, so instead of inching it, it's actually moved right round and back to, so it's done a full circle. Okay, and we see how that starts to move now. Okay, so day by day. So we started on, well, let's just move it back to the beginning of the year. Okay, there the sun and moon are together. So if we had to go 30 days, so to about May 13, there, so 12, 13. And you see that the sun moved through gate 4. It went through this gap from that line to that line. Okay, it's moved through that gate. Now it's entering into the next gate, which is between the next two blue lines. Okay, so there's one gate between there, and there's gate 3 between there. Gate 5 between there and there, and gate 6 between there and there. Okay, so it's going into gate 5, and if we go another 30 days, it'll be about 13 June. So now we see we're on the next line. So it's moved through 2 gates now. It's moved through gate 4, moved through gate 5, and it's now going into gate 6. So it'll spend 30 days in this gate. So it'll move along this line to there, and it'll take 31 days. And that's exactly how Enoch describes it. There it's moving along in the 31 days. We stop at 7:13. So the next month, that's about 31 days. Okay. And you see it moved all along there. It was in the sixth gate. The sixth gate is this one here, or the sixth portal. Between those two lines, it stayed between those two lines, and then it exited. It's going to start exiting here. Okay, so it's staying between those lines, and then it starts exiting. Okay, and then you can just carry on. It's moving back through the gate, and that will be gate 5. Now gate 4, and we now cross over, and it will now go into gate 3, and now it's going into gate 2, and now into gate 1, and it'll spend a month in gate 1, and it'll come out back into gate 2, into gate 3, and back at gate 4, and the year is complete. And you can go and read those up in Enoch, and you'll find it's an exact match. He also then gives I can't remember the chapter number, but he describes how the moon moves in relation to the sun. So he would start off and he would say, okay, as the sun moves through gate 4, he actually talks, I think he gives 7 days. Let's just go back. Let's just start somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't really matter. Well, let's go back to let's bring them together. Okay. So the moon would take off, and he would talk about 7 days, and it would actually reach gate 6, if I recall correctly. It's been some time since I read it. 7 days, and you'll see it's in gate 6. And remember, gate 6 is from there. That's 4, 5, 6. It's gate 6. So it says within 7 days it'll reach gate 6, and then within another 7 days it should reach gate 4, if I remember correctly. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's actually gone into. So I can't remember the exact descriptions, but you'll see you can match them, and he tells you what gate after how many days where the moon would actually be, and he works in sets of 7, if I recall correctly. So now it's at very close to full moon, and then he goes on to describe. Then you'll see now within the next sort of 7 days it moves back. It'll get to the furthest point. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's very close to its furthest point, and this would be gate 1, and then another 7 days, and it would be very close to gate 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're back to gate 4. So again, you can play around with this and go read the description, put the sun in at the various gates. So now that you know where the gates are, yeah, and you can actually follow the position of the moon, and you see how quickly the moon moves. In 7 days it moves all the way to the middle, and then all the way out again within 14 days. So within half a month it moves all the way to the closest point to the north pole, and back again within 14 days, and then the next 14 days it moves out to the furthest point and back again. So it actually, the moon compared to the sun swings very quickly in and out, very quickly. So if you actually monitor, if you actually watch for that. So let's go again. We'll go just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can see how quickly it's moved out. 7, 6, 7 plus 1. So yeah, 29 days to be to a complete circle. So those are the descriptions, and they haven't changed. We're still in flood times, very close to the time of Enoch, and the movements, if we change it to our time, still exactly the same type of movements. Let's just have a look at Moses' day. We know that Moses, the Exodus occurred on 1530 BC. So let's just get that to let's get this sun. Now we believe that the beginning of the earth, when the sun is in Taurus and the moon is together with it. So there's probably the beginning of the year. Now you see how much the equinox has already shifted between Noah's day and Moses' day. It's already shifted by 15 degrees. Picture nevertheless remains the same. Let's just get that a little bit just after sunset. And we see Virgo is fairly high in the sky, and Sun and Moon are in Taurus for the beginning of the year. Now I just want to take this forward to the 5th month, because it was in about the 9th of the 5th month that they worshipped the golden calf. Remember, we're looking at the Exodus days. Okay, this is the time of Exodus. So this would have been, this is what the sun moon, they left on the 15th day. So this is day 1. Well, let's call that's day 1, where you can just see the light coming. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, full moon, that's when they actually left. So this is the first month, and we can carry on. So this was that was unleavened bread finished, and we got to the end of the first month, and now they're in the second month. And that was when the manna was provided, and second month is now complete. Now they're in the third month, and we know that they arrived at Mount Sinai on the 15th day. So that would be at the full moon. So that's what the picture would have looked like. The sun was in constellation in the Crab in Cancer. Just get it just after sunset. So interesting. You see how Virgo has moved from this position in 3 months. So from the beginning of the first month to now the middle of the third month. She's coming over. Okay. So let's carry on. This is the third month, and then that Mount Sinai event, 7 days of smoke on the mountain. Then Moses went up, probably somewhere around there, around about the 25th month, 25th day of the third month, and he was up for 40 days, and he would have returned around about the 9th day of the 8th or 9th day of the 5th month. So we're now in this is the 4th month. Okay, 4th month, he's up in the mountain. 4th month is complete. 4th month's done. And now we're in the 5th month, and he arrives probably, let's just go back to the beginning of that new moon. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, on the 8th day, just go back by 1. on the 8th day. No, the 8th must be half moon, so I just want to get that to where half moon is probably closer to there. That would be the 8th, 9th of the 5th month when he would have got back. Now, see what's happened. We're in the first week of the 5th month. Virgo is starting to set now. She's starting to go below the horizon, and Speaker is almost disappearing. And yeah, so this is the day they worship the golden calf. It's in that year, and it's in that month, and you can see it's around about the 21st of August is when they actually worship the golden calf. And look, we got the sun is the woman is clothed in the sun. The moon is a little bit far away from her feet. That would be closer to at her feet, clothed in the sun. Moon is at her feet, and we know that it's probably there that they worship. And then we've got a conjunction between Jupiter. It's not going to zoom in there, but there's Jupiter and Venus conjunction that happened. Let's see a conjunction. Jupiter, Venus. Let's zoom out again. So this was the 5th month in Moses' day, the 9th of the 5th month, Pentecost day. This would be the beginning of the harvesting of the wine and the end of the harvesting of the wheat. Time of the year. So in his day, the equinox was just a short distance away. It's probably a month. Let's go and find the equinox. What day did that happen? So the 5th month is now complete. And there's at the equinox now. So it would have been close to the end, in the last week of the 6th month, just before the 7th month. We take it a little bit further. There's the beginning of the 7th month, New Moon Day, Feast of Trumpets. In Moses' day, this equinox would have occurred. This would be the fall equinox. You remember before, in our day, the equinox is sitting over here, but closer to the head of Virgo. Now, in Moses' day, it was that month from there. That's just a little bit less than 60 degrees. It's 15, 30. Yeah, still 60 degrees. Difference between all the 2 months. And then, of course, the spring equinox was right here between Aries and, because we saw that it had shifted from where it was in Noah's day, it shifted back here. And now we have it over here in Pisces. And that's what's caused the seasons to shift. But it's possible that in God's eyes, at the beginning of the year, it still remains where He wants it. When the sun is in Taurus, let's just bring back. So this is Feast of Trumpets. And what would they see in the sky? Big constellation is Feast of Trumpets pouring out. The man with the water, Aquarius, would be high in the sky. Pisces would just be visible. Yeah, let's go back to the 9th of the 5th month. Half moon. Sun is at the shoulder. Let's take it back to just after sunset. Okay. Now in Moses' day, now in Jesus' day. Let's go with the. Let's have a look at 33. So, the beginning of the year in Jesus' day, we were told that the sun was in Aries, or so I don't know. This is the it's either this one, and that's the end of Pisces, or it's this one. I believe that this is probably it. It could, of course, be 1 month, still 1 month more, but this would be at the end of Taurus. So the sun is still in Taurus, between the horns there. So it could be that this was the beginning of the year, but so we want the picture must be sun in Taurus and Virgo quite high. Virgo is almost too high. I'm leaning more towards this was the beginning of the year in that 33 AD. That would be, let's call that day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That would be Crucifixion Day. Sun was very much in Taurus. Then you'll notice this is a whole month. If you go, most people would say Crucifixion Day was in April 33. So they're saying this one here, where the sun is more in Aries, but for the beginning of that month, for the beginning of the year, the sun was still very much in Pisces. And that's the way I believe that this was the case. But I must be honest with you, I'm actually starting to believe that actually this was when the crucifixion actually happened. A month later than what we typically understand to date. That wasn't actually in the month of April, but in the month of May, the beginning of May. This is it definitely, for me, it fits. If we go and have a look at the 5th month now, so let's have a look at the 5th month picture. So we're still in the 1st month now, and 1st month's finished. We're in the 2nd month. 2nd month's finished. 3rd month. So this would have been at the full moon, his birthday. Feast of Weeks. And then the 3rd month complete. It's now the 4th month. The 4th month is complete. We're in the 5th month, and we want to be when the moon is half. That would be the 8th, 9th day of the 5th month. So if you can see, the sun is very close to her shoulder. The picture looks much closer to what it looked like in Noah's day. Whereas, and you must remember, this was a start. This was when the crucifixion happened in the beginning of May, not beginning of April. If it was beginning of April, then we have to go a month back, and let me just see here. Yeah, 721, and then we just bring it to half moon day. So this picture. Well, let's go back. Let's do it from scratch. So they say crucifixion happened somewhere there, right? It's the full moon, and the sun is in Aries, full moon. And if we take it now forward, that's the 2nd half of the 1st month. Now we're in the 2nd month. Now we're in the 3rd month. 4th month. And then this is the beginning of the 5th month. Let's just bring that forward. You know, the 5th month, and we want to get to half moon. I don't know, it just doesn't fit the same picture in the 5th month, for the 5th month, as what we saw in Moses' day, in Noah's day. Seems to me that this is actually the 4th month, and the crucifixion didn't happen in April, it happened in May, and this is the true 5th month for that year. And then let's have a look at this year. We know that we want to be looking for the 9th day of the 5th month. This year, the true 9th day of the 5th month, 24. So we've got to bring the sun as close as possible. It's probably too far now. Okay, there's half moon. It's that. It's a possibility. But the sun does seem to be too deep into Virgo. So I think we have to come back a bit, and we want to be at somewhere around there. I just want to bring the moon into the picture here. Let's just take it back to sunset, just after sunset. So 2024, this looks like the 9th of the 5th month. It's as close as I can get it to looking like what it looked like in Moses' day and Noah's day, and probably Jesus' day as well. This is it. 9/11, 9th, 8th, 9th. This would be the 8th. The next day would be the 9th. I think so. Half moon. This, yeah, just before the 8th half moon, that would be the 8th day, 8th of the 5th month. Interesting that we've got Venus back here again. In Moses' day, we had Venus and Jupiter conjunction for this particular day, the day they worshipped the golden calf. Venus was in this exact same spot. Jupiter is over here between the horns. Yeah. Okay, that's all I'm gonna cover in this video. I just wanted to play around in Stellarium and so that you can get familiar with the, using those the ecliptic and the equator to find the equinoxes. So I think that's all for this video. In the next video, I actually don't even know if I'm going to do another video. I think this pretty much covers it. We can see we've seen enough to see where probably where the true beginning of the year is. In this year was 9 May, and the true 9th of 5th month is probably September 11. And coming up fast is the equinox. I just want that's what I wanted to just show you, that in Noah's day, that the solstice, the summer solstice, remember summer solstice is when it's closest to the center, eh? There, it's closest. So in Moses' day, this point here in Virgo must have been when the sun was closest. So this the loop, this part of the loop must be here in Virgo for the understanding that we have, that in Moses or in Noah's day that the solstice was here, and now in our day the equinox is here. So let's just go back to that day, the year of the flood. So we see here the closest point. You see here in this, so there's this is the area where the summer solstice is. It's fairly close to Virgo. It's right at Regulus, but it is pretty close. It's in that region, because we have the spring equinox here now. So this is the area where the summer solstice happened, but now we have the spring equinox. So it's pretty close. It's not exact match in terms of location, but it's in that vicinity for the flood year. Let's have a look where it was in Moses' day. In Moses' day, it's shifted now from there to here, and it was probably here closer to the constellation of Cancer. And then of course in our day, it's moved now from Cancer to so it's sitting here between Gemini and Taurus. June 21, 22, that area. So it's shifted from there to here, and the equinox shifted from there to there. But I'm fairly certain that this is the 9th day of the 5th month. 8th, 9th day of the 5th month is sitting here. Yeah, With that, I think that pretty much covers it. And I'm going to sign out.